Hi, my name is Yan Hao Hong, and today I'm going to show you the game I made in this first semester. So let's go begin. This is my game menu. The game is called the Project Stealth. However, since I changed the development project and I give a lot of feedback from my classmates and also teachers, so I made this new game. It's not a stealth game, but it still calls Project Stealth. And this is a main menu. Basically, you can just go straight forward to the game level or just quit. So let's begin. And this is our player. You can collect the apple in your and you will change. You will show in your inventory slot. And you also have a self health system that allow the enemy to attack you and you will take damage. Right. You can use this object in the inventory to regenerate your shield. Once you fall out the map, you will die because I set out a kill zones under the map. Let's do it again. You can attack the enemy by pressing the Q. The enemy will also attack you. So you need to figure out how you combat with the enemy. Skipping the enemy is also one way to play the game. Right, and this is the ladder. It allows you to move upward by just holding the W. You also have this thing, it's a hook point. So if you jump, you see the small point become yellow, that means the players are in range. So, right, and this is a small challenge platform. As you can see, my speed is accelerated since I ate the potion, the green small potion that allowed me to have higher speed. Right, let's go for a level real quick. Oh. And this is the destination. Once we touch it, the winning screen will come out. The player has passed through this level. And we go back to the main menu. One more thing is that if your health is reduced to -1, smaller than 0, you will die and go to this dice room again. And that's the whole game I make. So how do we do the inventory system? The inventory system's idea is that you can collect all the objects in the slot, and once you don't have empty space, at that time you cannot collect any object. So I write 4 script for it. The first one is called inventory. This thing allows the player to set out to set out the list in here. So if we go to player body, as you can see, we can set up which slot it is and is it full or not. And we also have a script called slot. This thing allows us to check whether or not the slot was being taken, is full or not, and we return this value to the script. And we also have something called pickup. So this thing will attach to the game object, and it's all in prefab. See, right here. So what this thing does is once the player collide with this object, it will accentuate a button to the slot position right here. So as you can see, it's over here, and also will destroy the game object the player interact with. And this line means check whether or not the slot is empty or not. If it's empty, so you will essentiate the button to the slot, and at the other time you won't. Also, one more thing. To make the player able to drop the item, we have something called spawn. So once the player uses this thing, they click on the red small button in the inventory, they will spawn the items, essentially the game object to the world again, and also destroy the button in the slot. As you can see, this one is for us to set up the position where you can drop the item. The inventory script is learned from a great video from here. I'm not 100% understand what the script does. I mean, some of this script I still have no idea how to write, but I modified it so you can able to press tab to disable or enable the inventory, and this script is done by this one. So you keep changing the inventory active right here in the script. So if it is false, it will change to true. If it is true, it will change to false. So it's like a loop, but only when you press tab, you will activate it. And that's all for the inventory system. So how do I achieve for a player to attack? So let me show you my script. It should be right here. There's something called player attack, and those are the things to set up. So to check whether a player can be attacked, and use the check glider, and also play the animation of the player attacking. When player press Q, to attacking will turn to truth, and you play the animation right here. And this one is for a time delay. So basically, the player cannot just keep pressing a Q and keep attacking. Let me change this quote. Right. So the player can't just keep attacking, and this function will be called every time after all the time in update. And once the player press Q, this function will work. So, and what is the attack trigger? This is the box collider, and in the animation you can see the attack trigger only is enabled in the animation. So let's stop it. The attack trigger will enable when the when the animation is played to a certain time. So right here, I set a time from this frame to this frame, and disable the box collider, actually a trigger at the last of the animation. So that's how you apply the attack. So when you press Q, the trigger will contact with the enemy, and you will give a damage value by this script. Yes. By this script is called attacking trigger. So it will send the damage value to this one and call the function from enemy right here. So enemy will now reduce the health. So we have an enemy that can be able to move left and right, and once the player contact with it, it will attack player, and the player can give damage to the enemy. We have an enemy script that contains the enemy movements information. Those can make to set up the enemy position in the unity, and also the health number. Right here you can see this is for detecting whether the enemy should flip the scales, and this one is to set up the animation for the enemy to attack. Its attacking will be given by this script. So when the enemy will always attach a small collider right in front of him. As you can see, this circle collider. When player collide with this thing, it will return this value to our enemy script so that the enemy will start attacking. And we also have the enemy's speed setup. So once the enemy is attacked, they should stop moving. This is how it works. And also the flip function works right here. It will change the local scale based on whether it's based on its direction. So when enemy is attacking, the enemy has a thing called attack. It also has the same circle collider. This thing works exactly the same to the player, except it's not controlled by the player. So go to animation. As you can see, the enemy's attack trigger is set up to 3. So at 3, apply the trigger, and at 4 you disable it. This is how the trigger works, and that's for the enemy attack. So how does the player gain damage? As you can see, when the players will reduce their would reduce their health and shield when they've been attacked by the enemy. So in the player script, we have a player health script right here. It's called player health management. This is to detect whether the player is being attacked by the enemy. So if they contact with the trigger of the enemy, it will reduce the shield value. And it also, after the shield value is completely empty, it will start reduce the health value. The player will be die, and after if health value is smaller than 0, it will change the scenes to death. The same thing to do is that the killing space. Do the exact same thing. So basically kill the players, set all the numbers of the player's health and shield to 0, and change to the scenes of death. This is how we manage to kill the players. And there are others in-game objects that we're using. The first one is called ladder. As you can see, we have a ladder right here, and the player can move up by using W, move down by pressing S. And if you don't move anything, the player will just keep stay on the ladder. So we write a script is called the ladder. So we create a collider on it. When the player press W and is collided with the player will move upward. So give a new create a vector 2, and do the same thing for pressing S, so moving down, but change the speed to negative so that you can move down. In the other time, the player keep contact with it, the player will just stop moving downward. So we add the upward force. Otherwise, the player will just directly drop off. And that's function for ladder. Another one is called the track rope. So this is for connecting the rope. As you can see, we can drag this thing right here. As you can see, we can use the rope by using the hinge joint. So like this. So what it does is that on the rope, you have those information that you need. And we also need to check the distance from the player to the hook point. If the distance is smaller than 1, so the player can use press E to connect the player with the hook point. And also, you will read the player position and the hook point position so that we can set up the two coordinate of the line. So as you can see, we have a line connect the player to the hook point. So in general, I'm quite surprised that I can make such a game in like a few weeks. And we have an amazing health system, and we also have the manual system, and we also have the inventory system that you can pick up object. Also able to attack, that is really easy to set up. I think I'm done those things quite well. However, there's a lot of things that I can improve in this game if I have more time. The first thing is to improve a stack up program so that the player can take the same item and give a number to it, like what Minecraft did. And also the attack is too simple. Like every time you attack in the same way, and there's no attack feedback, there's no too much animation to show the force. So if this is one thing I can improve in later development. One more thing is that I really want my player have more attack method, not just using a sword, maybe using maybe a rope or something like that. So more weaponry the player can be used. That's one way to improve. Another thing is the enemy should have various type, not just one type of enemy. And also make the set the enemy animation be more beautiful, not like this. It's too easy. And also set up the smart AI system so that the enemy will have actually detect the player, whether the player is in range of the sight or something like that. One more thing is that the whole game should have more game level design. Right now we only have this small level, and it's too clunky. There's no much level there, so you can't just keep playing this whole level again and again. Also, the hooks sometimes they will join together at some specific point, and that's the bugs we need to fix. And that's the game I created. And really thank you for teachers teaching. It's really helpful. The everything is really helpful, and I hope I can see you maybe in the last semester. Right. Thank you so much, and this is the end of my video.